Okay, kids, let's find out who we're doing next. Oh, let's make sure we're recording first. Okay. All right, this is August. Leo, we've already done. Taurus, we've already done. Interesting, Taurus again. Okay, Aquarius, it's your turn. Aquarius, it's your turn. Please check the description box for everything that you need to know, including a place where you can get a very comprehensive, sorry, I'm just writing down that it's your turn. A very comprehensive natal chart. You do need to know the time that you were born in order to figure out what your rising sign is. We're going to start with the magnetic poetry, followed by a reading for what is in your spotlights for you during August, as well as blind spots. When we're going to clarify those. And then we'll move on to the oracles and an affirmation for August. So let's dive right in. Aquarius. Messages for Aquarius. It's time. Get a pen out, a piece of paper, and you can pause if you need to on these so that you can jot them down and kind of de-scramble them. Oops. And we have, this can either be a D or a P. It came out like a D though, so we'll leave it like that. Apologies. I just woke up, so one of the benefits, I think you've already probably heard why I'm doing a tabletop view instead of face, is because I can just wake up and do readings. So jot those down and then we'll get started. This is your August reading. All right, so we're going to get started with the Grimm Tales Tarot. It's a new deck that I have. All right, here, it's just a deck that I've acquired in the last month and a half. I do like the imagery on it, and so that's why I'm using it. So let's take a gander. We're going to do 8 cards in total, and then we'll clarify them. Spotlights first, and then your blind spots. We'll clarify the spotlight cards with the Sun Moon Tarot, and then we'll clarify the blind spots that you have for August using the Deviant Moon Tarot. Maybe a longer reading. So usually with longer readings, I have YouTube Premium, so I can shut off my screen on my phone, I can walk around the house, I can listen to things, and I don't have ads. Whereas, I'm not sponsored by YouTube to say that, I just find it really handy. Whereas you could also just put your phone on the counter while you're doing stuff around the house and listen using your earbuds. That's a great way with longer readings. One more and then we'll get started for you. It's just because I'm clarifying, it does end up being, I thought it was going to be a shorter reading because it is only, but yeah. Okay, spotlights for you, Aquarius. Did I do the twist for fairness? I didn't. Twist for fairness. Okay, spotlights for you, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What do we have? What are Aquarius's spotlights for August? Things that are highlighted for you. By the way, if you didn't know, I only take flippers and jumpers. This is way too many cards. It's like 5 cards. I'll take like 2, maybe 3. So there you go. There's one that I will take. Knight of Cups in the reverse. There's something of a romanticism type thing that's just not kind of happening. You're not feeling romantic. You're not feeling very poetic. Knight of Cups is always considered to be the knight in shining armor, the I'll save you of the tarot. Piscean energy on that. If we were looking at timings, it would be around Virgo season where something, you know, is highlighted for you, where you're definitely, you don't have that loving feeling, you know. You're feeling like a lack of poeticism. You know, you're just not, you're feeling like your heart isn't in something. You're not feeling like taking romantic action towards somebody. Or coincidentally, it could also be, rather transversely, it could be that somebody's not feeling that way about you. They've lost that loving feeling. I'm actually hearing that song while I'm saying this. Yeah, we've got to take those. With it, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. Do I have more than one card there? Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. There's like a contract that fell through. That's being highlighted for here. An offer that's not happening the way you would have expected. It could be because you've withdrawn romantic action in some way, that a contract is falling through here with the Ace of Pentacles. Yet it's you know, I almost feel like it's a good thing. It's like if the initial offer of something, as far as spending your time, energy, and effort on something, or even the beginning of a contract that had some monetary promise, if it hinged on whatever, you know, if you were able to pour it on thick, it's not worth it anyway, you know? So there was something tangible that's not beginning, and I feel like it's a result of this. You could also say that a lack of romanticism, a lack of that rescuer energy, that romantic effort, not only results here, and it's highlighting it, this is the spotlight side, remember kids, it's not just resulting in a lack of initiation or start, or, you know, something tangible beginning for you, but it's also resulted in some sort of structure falling, some institution falling that was quite surprising to you. It's highlighted especially here because we do have with it the Tower in the reverse. It's not necessarily cataclysmic because the Tower is in the reverse, but it's still a collapse of something. And because we have the Hierophant in the reverse with it, this is Scorpio and Taurus. So it's interesting that we have these. I can't really say what timing it could be because they're both in the reverse. So you have a Scorpio card in the reverse, which is Taurus, and then you also alternatively have the Taurus card in the reverse, which could be Scorpio season. So they're both two sides of the same coin. A collapse that isn't necessarily so cataclysmic, but it is still surprising, and it could be the traditional institution of marriage. It could also be a collapse of somebody's philosophies and beliefs when it comes to romanticism. It's almost as if somebody didn't really realize that the romantic action, you know, yeah, I'm being told to stop. Sorry. It's like pause on that. Not taking the romantic action for some reason, it kind of invalidates a belief or a philosophy about the traditional institution of marriage, or the traditional beliefs surrounding something that's always been. You know, the Hierophant is not necessarily about just marriage. But I think because we have this card here, the Knight of Cups, all about that lovely romantic action towards someone, the bringing the flowers, the serenading, all of that stuff. No contract. And it collapses somebody's philosophy around traditionalist ideas. It's shocking. It's kind of like a sideswipe happens here. And the sideswipe is around give and take. It's almost as if somebody was investing a lot more than somebody else here, if you can believe it. This is the spotlight side of things, and we will clarify. But the Six of Pentacles here is somebody believed that if they put in the efforts, you know, then somebody else would follow suit, and that didn't happen. you know, with this down here, I don't necessarily know if you're the person who isn't really, you know, bringing the A game when it comes to this romantic side. But somebody else isn't. And I mean, let's look at it here. Look at these words, you know, present. So gift giving, the music, you know, the symbolism of the sea, you know what I mean? So, you know, it really could be that one person is definitely bringing their A game when it comes to romantic words, romantic feelings, expressing those, but more than expressing them, actually being that love is a verb philosophy, and somebody else isn't. And you know, it's resulted in, you know, a deflation of somebody's, you know, belief that if they did it, if they brought that, if they poured it on thick, if they really, you know, expressed to somebody and showed somebody, demonstrated their feelings, that they would have a beginning. And this is all collapsed here, and it's surprising to somebody because they thought there'd be equilibrium, you know. Or maybe the shocking thing is that, you know, there is equilibrium here. Somebody wasn't demonstrating their romantic feelings. And so the equilibrium happened, almost like a retribution. Let's move ahead into the blind spot side for you, and then we'll clarify. What are Aquarius's blind spots during August? By the way, this is Libra card. I almost said Libra season just now, but this is a Libra card here. So Libra Scorpio cusp season, there's going to definitely be something coming to a head as far as this stuff goes. Somebody's going to be like, I've done all this stuff for you, and I'm still not seeing the results of my efforts. And then, you know, it's all going to come crashing down, is what I'm seeing here. But it's being highlighted for you now to be wary of that. Be wary of where you dedicate your energy. Because you can already see that somebody's not returning something. Shit. Okay. Oh, blind spots, right? We have blind spots here. Okay. Healing. The need to heal. The need for patience. There's a lack of defensiveness that is a part of your blind spot here. With the Nine of Wands in the reverse, normally that's wounded warrior energy. A lot of tarot community has, you know, those buzzwords that help you to remember all the cards. It's fair, and it's actually very helpful when you're first learning the tarot. In the Rider-Waite, traditionally, you see a guy who's trying to go along on his merry way, but he looks totally like battle-worn. You know, he's got bandages all over him because he's been beaten over the head with sticks. You know, in the Nine of Wands in the reverse, it's almost as if there is a healing that's happening, or possible. There's a possibility of healing. There's a possibility of letting down your guard, but this is also a card that indicates that you have let your guard down, or somebody has let their guard down. And the need for healing has to occur. There has to be a moment of patience and a pause for reflection and time to, you know, there has to be a time that is taken to really analyze and go within and seek within yourself where your waters are calm and where your waters are turbulent, and how the mixing of those things benefits you and where it hinders you. With the Temperance card here, Sagittarius season. It's almost as if we're seeing a flow of energy that kind of travels through. We have Libra to Scorpio season. Then we see Sagittarius season enter the plot in the blind spots here with the Temperance card. I think, you know, there's also in this healing that is going to be happening for you, or during August, is the birth of that is occurring. In your blind spots, what you don't see is this Five of Pentacles in the reverse. The recognition that you were living in a victimhood mindset. That you felt you were left out in the cold when really you weren't. You know, and that can be in and of itself kind of an Eight of Swords, you know, a mental prison. But the Five of Pentacles, it's becoming more self-actualized and self-empowered, you know. Understanding that you always had the ability to let yourself out of the cold. You always had the ability to connect with others in a more meaningful way. But you kept yourself isolated. You kept yourself excluded. And so, you know, there's a point of realization here that happens through the healing and the Temperance card for you. You know, and it's a big deal. It's through letting your guard down and finally, you know, because this is also, remember, the Nine of Wands. While he's also super defensive, he's also a little bit of a victim, you know, because he was an active participant in the Five of Wands where the conflict occurred. He was an active participant in the Seven when he was standing on the rock and the mob was coming after him. He definitely participated in the battles and the triumphs. So now, you know, in the Nine of Wands, he can't bitch and complain when he's tired and on the verge of victory, right? So having this in the reverse and having the Five of Pentacles in the reverse, you can definitely see where taking the time and pausing with this Temperance card here and taking time for reflection. And I love this, actually. In Psalms, so there, Selah is a word. It occurs like 100 and some times or 200 and some times. It is a musical term, they believe, in the book of Psalms in the Bible, but it really means pause for reflection. And I think that right here with the Temperance card, the patience that's required really is a pause for reflection that results in that realization. That you know, you never really were excluded, and that you had the ability to really be an active part of something and participate in connecting with others, you know, and that there are possibilities for you. That's your blind spot here, but you have to do the healing. Finally, for you, blind spots for Aquarius in August. It's the dawning of a new day. The dawning of the age of Aquarius. Yeah. In some ways, yes, right? Just saw the Sun card when I was shuffling there. Yeah, I saw it again. But you know, I think that it's almost as if instead of looking to other people to validate that for you, it's a turning inward that has to happen. You know, I think maybe that's the problem. Is that you know, because no matter how many people you surround yourself with that can tell you your worth, you know, unless you see it for yourself, it doesn't really matter how many people throw those words at you. It's like playing, you know, tennis with a wall and a potato. You know what I mean? So, let's see what else here. Okay. The Two of Cups and the Two of Wands. Twos, okay. So there is a potential for you to break bread with others. And I think, again, as I was saying, it's just kind of a reiteration of that. Patience is required for you to break bread with the right person. The healing is required for that to happen. That's in your blind spot, that there is the potential for you to meet up with others in a meaningful connection. Here with that Two of Cups, we see that happening, where there's a meeting of minds, the breaking of bread, the clinking of glasses in between two individuals. But this Two of Wands here is about waiting for when the time is right. You know, the Two of Wands is surveying the land and figuring out, picking your direction based on careful study and forethought. You see the compass here and the globe and the two, you know, candles here. So there needs to be some illumination on which direction to pick for this to be the case, you know. And I think it's also, you know, indicative of, you know, the careful forethought that needs to be taken before picking the person that you'd like to embark on that Cups journey with, based on the healing that's occurred here and the time that's been taken. let's clarify. So we're, like I had said, we're going to use the Sun Moon Tarot to clarify your spotlight side of things. And then we'll use the Deviant Moon because I think it's pretty appropriate to look at the blind spots. Trying to talk a little bit faster so I can get this done in like 45 minutes or less. I don't know where I'm at, but it's probably already at like 30 minutes. Of course, you know. These are handy little decks for clarifying because they're, you know, considerably differing in size. Okay, all right, let's see. Knight of Cups, tell us more about this. Let's shed some light on this Knight of Cups for you. Who is the Knight of Cups in the reverse? A Piscean individual, potentially. But, you know, I think that's neither here nor there. Timing-wise, like I said, it could be Virgo season, so September when you're seeing this. I see this as a journey. You got Virgo season bleeding in through Libra to Scorpio, and then over here on the tail end of stuff over in the blind spot side, you have Sagittarius season. So, you know, this is kind of like a journey September through to mid-December. Okay. Maybe the King of Swords in the reverse. Criminal element, actually. There's a criminal element attached to this. So this could be like, shitty to say, scammer energy. I didn't want it to have to go that, you know, go along with that narrative. But if you think about it, somebody is not taking romantic action. They're not feeling it. And it's almost as if there was an expectation that there would be an offer or something tangible beginning. That the coin, that first initial tangible spark of energy or effort would result. And it hasn't. The King of Swords, traditionally, that's you. You know, however, the King of Swords in the reverse, you think about the King of Swords, a very intellectual being, somebody who presides over logic rather than emotion or, you know, intuition. This could be the Aquarian individual like yourself, Aquarius, Pisces, cusp individual potentially, but somebody who rather than being the one who presides over logic is presiding over emotion or way too much in their feels instead of being somebody who's actually using their wits and their intellect to navigate a situation. But again, you know, the scammer energy comes up because we have somebody here who's not returning and not reciprocating some romantic action. And the King of Swords in the reverse, of course, because the King of Swords in the uprights, judge, magistrate, parole officer, police officer, lawyer, you know, people who are on the right hand of the law, and particularly law, not just law abiding, but people who have to do with, you know, that profession. Corrections officers in the upright, King of Swords. In the reverse, it's the criminal element, scam artists, con artists, criminals. And the surrounding cards to me kind of indicate this is somebody who thought, you know, that's scamming someone through a situation where there was supposed to be equal give and take. And it's not been reciprocated, and all of a sudden it's going to come crashing down unexpectedly. Unfortunate enough, however, at the same time, it won't be as bad as it could have been. I think it's going to be nipped in the bud and revealed for what it really is around Scorpio Libra season. So you're kind of looking at Libra to Scorpio season would be mid-September to mid-November is when the light's going to really be shone on this. The crappy thing is that there is a belief attached to this, a preconceived notion that's always been, or something that you just always believed was true, and that's actually going to collapse along with it. Tell me more. Tell me more. What is this offer that doesn't happen? The initiation that doesn't happen? The start of something, that contract that doesn't happen? Tell me more. Tell me more in general, even up in this line. Just want to know more. Let's suss it out, shall we? Saw the Sun card again in there. Leo It's like during Leo season, this is all happening. You feel like you're getting your wish. I keep seeing that Leo card come out. The Emperor. Yeah, okay. So this is Aries as well. So, you know, we see something that kind of kicked up or kicked back up during Aquarius, Pisces, Aries season. Because we're seeing a sequence of cards here. And we're seeing a sequence of time. Leadership energy. Somebody who's taken a lead or made a decision, a definitive decision, took definitive action on something, took the lead on something, or deceptively, you know, declared that they were taking the lead on something. Tell me more. During Aries season, you've been waiting since Aries season for something to come to fruition, but the contract either fell through or the offer, you know, you've been waiting for your chickens to come home to roost and they really haven't. Judgment. There's Aries, Sagittarius, Aries, Sagittarius. Yep, we see it again. You had to make a decision. It was like shit or get off the pot time. But the offer fell through. You know, the trumpeter's call. It was time for somebody to make a decision. And, you know, it was kind of like the time was nigh. And when, you know, it finally came time to shit or get off the pot, something fell through. Tell me more. Let's see this Hierophant in the reverse. This thing that's going to collapse. I keep seeing the Sun card. Maybe it's because it's so bright and prevalent in there. Here, Queen of Wands in the reverse. Aries energy again. But in the reverse, we're looking at Libra season. Libra season. Specifically, we're seeing the timing here as Libra season, when the collapse of everything that you believe, the philosophy. I don't mean to be like all doom and gloom about it, but I have to read the cards, you know. There could be a loss of temper that either precipitates this, or when this really becomes apparent, it could also be that somebody uses a point, a flashpoint as a way or an excuse for this collapse. Like they have this structure that's, you know, I just think of it like a structure. Think of it like a religion. Think of it like a church. Think of it like something that's age old, that's always been, the people believe that you can't fuck with. Pardon my French, but then all of a sudden the Queen of Wands comes out. And in the reverse, it's somebody who angers to the point of irrationality, a fire that burns rather than warms. You know, it's like there's a tongue lashing that happens and somebody uses this as an excuse to just break the whole system. And to really collapse your belief, collapse your philosophy around a traditionalist belief, and break everything down. Burn everything down. Yeah. This is somebody who professes to be a leader, but they're either overconfident or they're dominant and domineering rather instead of dominant. They lead with fear. Tell me more. And it's like we have, again, the timing here would be Libra Scorpio season. Because I read my timings like a zodiac wheel, right? So if this is Aries in reverse with Taurus in reverse, that's Libra Scorpio season. It's like a cohesiveness happens with the cards that you just can't deny. Nine of Cups in the reverse, yeah. Somebody's wish isn't being granted. A deep-seated wish, but something that's attached to somebody's self-worth. That's the collapse that's happening here. And, you know, with the Tower to come with it. Somebody's wish about equity with that Six of Pentacles. But, you know, the Nine of Cups isn't just about a wish. It's also about the observance of somebody's esteem, their self-esteem, the observance of somebody's self-worth, the choice from the Eight of Cups moving towards the Nine. Is it somebody is going to love themselves more, that they're going to observe their own self-worth? They have a belief, a deep-seated belief that they are worth something more. And so when you see this in the reverse, it's like going back to the 8. You know, being in a place that your self-worth far exceeds what you're dealing with. And it's like you're not living into your beliefs. I mean, somebody's willing to topple your beliefs about your own self-worth. And they do it, rather audaciously here. Anything else about this collapse? Somebody's trying to, I'm getting this right now, sorry. Somebody's trying to show you this. Somebody's trying to make it glaringly obvious to you. That's why it's in the spotlight side, right? Because they're trying to make it glaringly obvious to you. And I can actually hear during this, it's like somebody's like, you made me do this to you. You made me do this. There's that 5 of Pentacles. You did this to yourself. You believe that you were stuck in this, but you weren't. Okay. Okay, Aquarius, let's clarify your blind spot side of things. Starting with your 9 of Wands here, using the Deviant Moon Tarot. Sorry, man, I'm not going to tell you you're going to get rich and married, in like, and everything's going to be all happily ever after. The point of tarot is not to, bullshit you and sell you a lie. Oh, I just lost a bunch of stuff. Give me a couple seconds. Just lost a few cards. You know, somebody who's going to tell you you're going to win the lottery, and then you have to sit around all your life waiting for the lottery to happen and never actually do anything else better for yourself. Because that's what it's like. When anyway, I could talk about that I could do a whole video on that. Okay, let's take a look. The healing. Tell me about the healing. That hidden healing. It's quietly happening for you. The seeds are being sown for that to be, and it's only a potential unless you choose it for yourself. Say yes to heaven, I'm hearing. Okay. King of Cups, yeah. A part of this healing, it's, not so much letting your guard down, for everybody and anybody. It's a lesson. King of Cups is a Scorpio card. Remember, we have the Libra Scorpio season, and then we bleed on through into Sagittarius. But the Scorpio guy here, the King of Cups, he's about being discerning in when you allow people into your heart space and when you set healthy boundaries about that access. Not everybody, I don't know if you've ever been with a Scorpio individual, but not everybody is provided access to Scorpio's heart space. It's an exclusive club. And even once you're in that club, a Scorpio individual has no problem telling you very politely when something is not, for you to know. When it's a part of them that is not, is closed to the public, is not for your consumption. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how they do it, but they do it so well. And very respectfully as well. But a King of Cups is an individual who can say, very astutely, when they know it's best for somebody to not be allowed within their emotional energy, to have access to their waters and when it's best for somebody to have access to their waters, you know. I think that's a part of the lesson here, is that, you know, not everybody, you know, exercising discernment. We learn to be adventurous when we're young. We learn to be risk takers. We learn to say yes. We learn the willingness and optimism when it comes to our relationships. And we learn flexibility. But when we get to a certain age, we learn to exercise discernment and healthy boundaries. There's a big difference. That's the maturity of love. That's the maturity of our connections, is that we then refine them and figure out who should even have access in the first place, you know. And we learn to cultivate value in the relationships that we choose to have in our lives, that we actually get to choose instead of just saying yes to everything, you know, and that we don't have to say yes to everything. Anyway, I thought I saw one that flipped. I'm not trying to dick around and spend a million years on this. I've only got, you know, like 9 more readings to do for August, you guys. As you can tell, I do this more for fun than views. Okay, what else do we have? Tell me about the Temperance card. I saw the moon. I saw the moon. Yeah, there's something about looking at the moon. Yeah, there's, like I said, healing. You're coming out of a situation of deep heartbreak and depression here. Ain't that the most painful shit you ever seen? That's not true. There's another card in here, the Ten of Swords, which would be even more painful. But, you know, this guy, take a look if you can zoom in. You know, he's pierced through his heart, but the swords are coming through his back. You know what I mean? So all of the little betrayals, all the little deaths that somebody has suffered here that have broken somebody's heart, there is time that's required to heal that. There's a pause for reflection that's needed. And an individual here during Sagittarius season really needs to contemplate the pain and the heartbreak that they've been through, because either they didn't exercise discernment over who they allowed access to their heart space, to their emotional waters, or, you know, over those who they did allow access, you know. But there's a lot of contemplation that's going to be happening over the heartbreak and over the pain. But, you know, remember, you know, this is only through tempering. Right. This is, you know, and let's also just take a second to remember, temperance is also about moderation. So it's also about not imbibing so much, because that doesn't help you heal. And you aren't really thinking about all your pain. You're just kind of like, you know, stuck on loop about all of your past, you know, owies, if you will, instead of actually healing them. It doesn't help. Just perseverate on the same old song, poor me, poor pitiful me, you know. Okay, Capricorn. There's an ambitiousness and a determination here to heal something, and you know, there's going to be some communication and apology coming to a Capricorn individual. Apologies, small emotional communications about heartbreak, but there's healing that's coming with this. There's introspection and time and patience, and in that also, even though this is small communications, they're not large sweeping communications like you would see with the Page of you know, wands, or, you know, irresponsible communications, you know, like the Page of Swords, you know, coming in with, you know, lopping people's heads off. But yeah, it's almost as if there's careful forethought and reflection that is being taken, or should be taken, in carefully choosing one's words about how they want to communicate the heartbreak and the pain of the past in order to move forward. And there's a lot of determination about it. With the Five of Pentacles, with this excluded feeling, you know, because one can't move on until you heal all of this. And I think that's in this is the big part that's in the blind spot, is that there's immense healing that needs to happen here before this can happen, right? So let's kind of, I think this is pretty apparent. I think we already touched on that at length. So let's just talk about these twos. The Two of Cups and the Two of Wands. Sorry, I'll get my hands kind of out of the way. Let's see these twos. Tell me about the twos. Okay. It is your wish. It's your wish to break bread with somebody, to have jovial good times with somebody, to date, to have the fun. But, you know, lacking the direction in doing that's not going to have you get to here. You know, you can't just jump from a Two of Cups to a Nine of Cups. You have to plot your course accordingly. And that's what the Two of Wands is trying to tell you. If you want your Nine of Cups, your ultimate wish fulfillment, first of all, yes, you have to exercise the discernment of the King of Cups that you have here. You know, you have to, you know, be very clear about what you will and will not do to honor your self-worth in order to get here, right? You can't just, you know, go having drinks with just anybody. I heard a really interesting saying the other day. I can't remember where I heard it, but if you swim in polluted water, you become polluted. And I thought that was really poignant. So you gotta worry about who you're keeping company with, right? If you want self-worth and you want self-love and you want to actualize this wish of being with somebody who observes your self-worth the way you should be, you have to do it first. And so you have to be very choosy about who you're having your wine with, you know? You know, it's like when you were a kid and your parents said it's the company you keep. So this Two of Wands, yeah, it's about the appropriate investment. And this is not, kids, don't get it twisted, this is not financial investment. If we were being literal, they would say that, especially scammer people. But what we're really saying here is that the appropriate time, effort, and energy need to be invested in a connection. And, you know, communication is going to come in from someone that you have been investing a lot of time, energy, and effort with. Or it could also be that the communication is going to come in from somebody who's been investing time, energy, and effort with you. But it's a reaping what one has sown here. Grabbing the low-hanging fruit at first. But remember, if you plant crappy seeds in crappy soil, you get crappy results. And that can also be something that's communicated while you're awaiting a strong connection to come in that really is your emotional wish fulfillment, that really does observe your self-worth. You know, you're going to have something come in that kind of communicates this to you, you know. Let's go ahead and let's get some no bullshit advice using the Rebel deck, my Rebel Oracle deck. I like this one because it, you know, it's, you know, you don't really need a book for it because it kind of just says it all. So let's see. And then we'll get you an affirmation and we'll be done. I think really this is about, you know, this card keeps jumping every time I'm, you know, it's obviously just physics, but I think that it's really boiling down to, you know, logic and discernment. I think that's what I'm going to call this. Discernment. In which, I mean, I know everybody really wants to have a really good, juicy plot where everything just seems to be, oh, so lovey-dovey and so amazing. full of promise and good money and good fortune, and there's all these lovely things coming in for you. But I know it gets clicks, but I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to tell you everything. Hey, this lover's going to come in and he's going to sweep you off your feet. No, he's going to take all your shit and leave you in the dust, and you're not going to be able to pay your bills. You know what I mean? Like, this is a fucking con artist. I know. I've been with one. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, this is, like, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass on this. Yeah? But I will tell you the promising things. And, maybe it's not super juicy to see that you're going to take some time to figure your emotional space junk out, but it actually is important to do. You know what I mean? If you want any semblance of awesomeness in your life, you got to figure that shit out. You know what I mean? Anyway. Whatever. It's early. It's too early for this shit. It's like 8 a.m. Anyway. Let's see. The advice. I did get a whole bunch of cards out. I couldn't take them. That's just not... It's not correct. Whoa. Okay, well, I think that we're going to take these 3. And we're not going to take these. Okay. Let's see. Laugh. Okay. First we have laugh. Where the fuck is your sense of humor? Okay. So that's one thing. When was the last time you had a good laugh? An actual good laugh, not like a chuckle, I think about like watching TV in the 90s when, TV was funny. Everything's so heavy nowadays. Everything's all, controversy and scams and, reels that are like just, when was the last time that you had a good laugh? Detox. Drink a smoothie, unfriend that asshole, and throw some shit out. Okay. Yeah, take some time to clear your mind so you can clear it, like I said, so you can get rid of that emotional space junk, right? And you are talented and fucking amazing, The world needs your power. Use your voice. Just don't use it for dumb shit, okay? So let's think about all the no-lifes and low-lifes on TikTok who open their mouths and, Yeah, let's go ahead and let's look at an affirmation for you. What's the affirmation that's going to help you come out of August in one piece? And then we'll be finished. I'm not even going to keep, shuffling. Let's go, Aquarius. What do you need to keep telling yourself? Affirmations do work. Every morning. Every morning, say your affirmation. This is the I Am Power Pack, if you're wondering. I effing love this. Oh, we got a flipper. I am empowered. Thank you. I am empowered. Damn, yes. That 5 of Pentacles in the reverse. I'm left out in the cold. I am just a victim of circumstances. Fuck no. You are empowered. Okay? You are empowered to affect change in your life. Just take a minute. A sober moment to think and heal yourself. Gain some clarity. Christ's sake. Okay, that's it. That's what I got for you, Aquarius. I hope that this made some sense. If you like what I do, or, it's always validating, but I think the other thing, more importantly, is it actually gets it out there for other people. So give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you when we see you next. Bye.